welcome to Live at 5 in the 805. I'm Caroline Feraday. You may well have heard me on KCLU, see me on BBC News as well. I'm your host today. Welcome along. Very, very nice to have your company. We want to have a nice lively chat, you know, like The View, but 805 styly, right? Should we meet our guests? Why not? First up, we're going to kind of cover the Chronicles of Oxnardia, as we like to call it. Let's go to Dr. Chelsey Kahanowitch. Is she there? I'm hoping she is. Last seen driving frantically. If not, I'm hoping that Monica is also there. Monica White at Food Share. Why don't you join us? Hello. You're always there in a crisis, and you were there in that particular one. Welcome along. Hi, Monica.
Hi, Caroline. Good to see you.
Thank you for joining us. I'm going to put you on the spot and get you to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing here with us today.
Well, I am Monica White from Food Share Ventura County, and our organization feeds our hungry neighbors. Last year, we served 267,000 people. That is an unduplicated number. 1 in 4 in Ventura County are food insecure. So we can always use everyone's help.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll talk a little bit more about what the needs are and what the situation is in our region. Joining us also from the Humane Society of Ventura County, based in Ojai, covering all of the county. We've got Amber Landis. Hello, Amber. Great to have you with us. Thank you.
Good.
Yes.
I have
look. What we got?
Yes, she's the newest addition. I just adopted her about 2 weeks ago. So she's my little frisky kitten running around.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's like, I'm sure one of the perils of the job is just falling in love with cute kittens all day long. Yes. Tell us a little bit more about you and your new lovely kitten.
Sure. So I'm the Director of Development, and I'm coming up on my 2-year anniversary at the Humane Society. And we are a nonprofit shelter, and we adopt animals. We have humane investigators that respond to cases and reports of abuse and neglect. And then we also have a very cool shot clinic and vaccine clinic, and doing all kinds of spay and neuter programs out for the community.
Very good. Well, I look forward to chatting a little bit more with you as well throughout the programme. Eric Knight, the new Executive Director at the Conejo Free Clinic, which I'm told has broadened their services of late. Eric, tell me a little bit more about you and what you guys do.
Yeah, well, thank you, Caroline. Thank you for having me. Conejo Free Clinic has been around since 1976 in Thousand Oaks. We offer free medical, dental, and legal services to the underinsured and uninsured. We saw over 3,000 last year across all 3 of those services. We're located in Thousand Oaks in the Community Conscience building, and we have clinics 4 days a week, and maybe expanding a little bit more than that, but we can talk about that in a little bit.
Very good, very good. So plenty to talk about. And Dr. Chelsey Kahanowitch, can't believe I've had to say your last name, which is, as you said, easier. It's actually easier than it looks. I was going to get you up on the line, but I'm going to have to say it 3 times, I think, before we get there. It's like what's that movie, Beetlejuice? If I say it 3 times, we'll appear. So upon the 3rd saying, we'll get there. As I said, today's show is interactive. We want to take your questions. If you can get onto the chat, go onto the chat now. We will get to your questions, and we love hearing from you. Monica, shall we start a little bit with you? Let's talk a little bit about what you do there at Food Share. You know, I think after COVID, people knew that was a time of real food insecurity. People might assume, well, okay, COVID's over, food insecurity's over, but is it?
Absolutely not. And I think you hit it on the head right there, Caroline, is that so during COVID, we were very fortunate. We were the top of the news hour. You could see the lines of people waiting for food in the newspaper and and hear about it on the radio, as well as seeing it on television. And because COVID is over, doesn't necessarily mean that food insecurity has been solved. So even though people love to give and we appreciate during the holiday season, hunger is a year-round issue here in Ventura County.
I mean, you must be thinking now, here we are, October, holiday season ahead of us, a lot of pressure on everybody's resources. What does the holiday season look like for you? Is that your busiest?
It is. We have a couple of really big events coming up as well. So turkeys. We have 4,000 turkeys that we're going to be giving out during the Thanksgiving week. We do it through our drive-through distribution at College Park in Oxnard, but we also have a couple of other agencies who are helping us distribute those turkeys, as well as a box full of all the things that go with the turkeys. So as we call the fixins. So they're going to get mashed potatoes, they're going to get the cranberry sauce, the gravy, all the things that green beans, everything that we all like to have with our turkey is going to be distributed to those in need as well. And then we have our can tree drive. That is the first weekend in December, where people can build holiday trees out of cans of food. So you can either collect the cans and come build them at the Figueroa Plaza, which is right across from the Mission in downtown Ventura, or you can buy the cans and we will provide them for you. And all you have to provide is the labor to put it together and then the flair to be able to make it really festive. And then we'll give out prizes for the best decorated trees.
You know, I don't know if you can tell from my local Tennessee accent, but not having grown up in the US, Thanksgiving is something that I've adopted later in life. And it really is my favorite holiday now, because there's this sort of just to sit and be grateful for what you've got, sit with the people that you love, whether it's your family or your chosen family. And the fact that your organization is making that possible by lifting the burden of how expensive it is to feed a family at any time, but to feed a family at Thanksgiving, I think that's wonderful.
It's a special day, and those of us that are food secure, meaning we know exactly where our turkey is going to be coming from, we just ask that everybody help support those who don't know, who are food insecure and may not necessarily have the means to be able to have a Thanksgiving dinner like the rest of us. And so giving to a organization such as Food Share, we can ensure that no one will go hungry on Thanksgiving Day, especially.
And I think you've got some plans for a bit of expansion with the organization as well. Is that something you want to share with me?
Not today, but yes.
Well, you're going to.
Here's what I can share is that we are at capacity. So we have 3 locations here in Oxnard, and we are at the point where we cannot even accept any more food because we just don't have the space to be able to handle that. So what we're doing is we have plans for expansion, and one day we will go public with that. But for right now, we would love for anyone who wants to come see where we are today. We provide tours. We have a bi-monthly food for thought where you can come in and have lunch and tour with the CEO. And we'd love to be able to show you the scope of our operation, because everybody who comes, you know what they say? I had no idea.
Yeah, I have visited your operation myself, and it's not only impressive, but it fills your heart when you see, how people support you and the good work that you do, like right on the front line, and really, really make a difference in people's lives. Monica, stay with us, because I want to talk a little bit more about you and how, I know, right? You and how you ended up doing what you're doing. But let's get a little bit around the table a little bit while we're here. And I have a solid, I'm going to Beetlejuice on my 3rd attempt. And I'm going to go for the fact that Dr. Chelsey is with us right now. Yay! Witch. Oh, I did it perfectly the 2 times without the pressure on.
Okay.
I apologize. No, I'm very, very happy to welcome you. Thank you very much indeed for joining us from Adventist Health Simi Valley. Now you're with us. We've had a little introduction from everybody that's with us. I'd love that from you, just to hear a little bit more about you and a little bit more about your role in the organization.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm a family medicine doctor, very typical family medicine. I see newborns, 3 days old, all the way up to geriatrics. I've been with Adventist Health for over 5 years now. I actually just moved to their Moore Park location. They have a small primary care in Moore Park. So I'd been in Simi Valley for 5 years, just moved out to Moore Park. I'm a Conejo Valley local. I grew up in Agora Hills, went to Agora High School at Bray Park. I've had multiple roles before becoming a physician, but I think we'll touch on that later. And I just love taking care of families. It's one of my passions. A lot of it starts with the moms. Moms come and see me just because of demographic and gender match. And then they want me to take care of their kids and then drag their husband in. And it's really a blessing. I love what I do. So.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, as an Agora person myself, I thoroughly recommend it. Actually, while you're here, I'm going to pick your brain one more question because we have been talking. We're getting towards the end of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but I did want to just have a chat with you about that, as about Breast Cancer Awareness Month. To Dr. Chelsey, what are the couple of things that women should just be aware of, remember to do, to just have on their mind when it comes to breast health?
I think, first of all, having an established either gynecologist or primary care is very important. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't need one. I never get sick. And it's like, well, that's not the purpose of preventative health. You need to have somebody that you can call, check in once a year, and just have that relationship established with somebody. So if you have baseline mammograms annually, you get a breast exam with a physician, you have a baseline of normalcy so that if something seems out of the ordinary, whether on exam, you notice something on yourself, your doctor notices something because they have a relationship with you, you can either get that annual screening done or there can be additional diagnostic screening if there is something out of the ordinary. But I think it's really important. I think we've lost touch with what the purpose of a primary care provider is. A lot of people just go directly to specialists here, there, and everywhere. You need a quarterback of the football team, right? Everyone knows the plays. Everyone has their own little thing they do, but somebody who's kind of that central hub to be like, actually, it's been 2.5 years since you got a mammogram, or, hey, we changed the colon cancer screening age to 45, things like that. You're not going to know if you don't have somebody that you're consistently seeing, following up with, having those chats with, so that you can then access that care much more easily.
Yeah. And how important is that early detection? Like you said, just keeping an eye on it, not letting time pass, but early detection when it comes to issues like that.
I mean, it can make the difference of staging 1 versus staging 4. It really just depends on, sorry, I'm still on my phone here. It really just depends on that time frame, can move quickly. If it's a very aggressive form of a breast cancer, I have a friend who's also a patient. Her mammogram was normal when she was 41, and then she noticed a lump, and then she went into her gynecologist and she caught stage 1 breast cancer simply because she had that awareness of what a normal breast was. She had seen a provider. She knew that she had a normal baseline. So then when that follow-up 9 months later, when she felt an abnormality, boom, they were able to identify that very quickly because they had a normal scan versus the abnormal scan. So that early detection, can mean the difference of a simple lumpectomy versus a mastectomy, literally within, a year or two of that time frame. It can move very quickly. So
I think, for all of us, if we haven't been personally touched by breast cancer, certainly somebody we love and care about has been touched by breast cancer. What are ways, if as a friend, as a family member, that you can support someone when they get a diagnosis like that, and that you can help and kind of be practically sort of helpful? What are some things that you could do as a family and friend member to be their support network?
I think a lot of times, since obviously breast cancer in females, and a lot of these women are of the age where, not everyone has had children, but a lot of them they have families. They're concerned that their time of taking care of themselves is going to negatively affect their spouse, negatively affect their children, negatively affect their workspace. And I think as somebody who is in any of those circles, supporting them in, I'll pick your kids up from school, I'll drive you to your doctor's appointment, let me take care of meals for you, let me do those things that as someone who's just been diagnosed with breast cancer, our mind is going like, okay, yes, I need to take care of myself, but I have all these other things that if I'm not there, I'm afraid they're all going to fall apart. And there's almost a guilt for getting that taken care of and being taken away from that other role that you had before your diagnosis. I think if you are involved in any those circles for that patient, stepping up and helping at work, stepping up and helping in the home, all those different things that I mentioned are very, very important for that newly diagnosed patient.
I heard this, which I thought was quite good advice, and maybe you can speak to it as well. And it might, I think it's applicable in some other circumstances, maybe where somebody had a baby, got new parents and stuff, where instead of saying, if there's anything I can do, let me know, people can't almost process, I don't know what I need, but to just make a decision, take the decision away. I'm going to bring you dinner. I'm going to pick your kids up.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's super important, because I'm like, oh, well, I'm a doctor and I'm a mom and I'm a wife. I got it. I can take care of all the things. And like when I'm dying inside, I still don't, for some reason, feel like I should accept that help. But if someone is like, hey, like today, the reason I was late, my doctor's appointment, my mom was like, I scheduled you for the doctor. I'm picking your kids up from school so you can go do this. So I did it. Right. And so that was necessary for me for some reason. I'm sure I'll go see a therapist about it later as to why I can't accept that help. But that is very important, I think, is establishing, I'm going to do this for you because I care. And they will accept it, especially if they're in one of those situations of still those beginning stages where they just don't know what their staging is, what it's going to look like, where they're going to have to travel to. It's very important to have that support.
Well, lots more to talk about with you as well, Chelsey. I think while we're talking about healthcare, stay where you are. And Eric Knight is with us. Now, Eric is the new executive director at the Caneo Free Clinic in Thousand Oaks, so still in that healthcare sector. Just remind us, I mean, you mentioned there at the top of the show a little bit about what the Caneo Free Clinic does. Just remind us a little bit about what you do and what's changed there and what you guys are up to.
Yeah, thanks. So we offer... we have medical services, dental services, and legal services, and they're all free. We serve, medical and dental services for the uninsured and underinsured, and that is what we have been doing since we've been around since 1976. Our medical director has been here since 1978, and this organization has been serving that mission that whole time. Our mission delivery is very similar to where it was a year ago, although 2 years ago, we have increased over that period, particularly in dental and legal. And what's happening different here now is not so much those impact numbers, but how the board and organizational leadership are looking at this organization moving forward. Because typical, life of a nonprofit, it's sort of everybody's spending so much time with mission delivery. It gets to a certain point where everybody has to step back and say, okay, what is the unified vision based on the community need? And how do we even determine that community need? So, one of the things that we're seeing is an increase in the need for dental. So what are we going to do about that? And how do we accurately assess what that need is, right? We sort of know because of, some more people are calling, but what does that indicate? Does that indicate that everybody knows who we are and where we are? And so that's just the number of people that are going to call, or is the need even greater than that? So we're mission delivery wise, we are pretty much the same as we were a year ago. But how we are looking at serving the community in the future is changing quite a bit, and will look a lot different in the next.
What's your criteria for who you serve? I know from talking to Monica before, that's just free at the point that you need it. No one's checking whether or not, if you say you need it, you need it. What is the criteria for you guys when someone's coming to you and saying they need help?
We don't screen. We don't do any means screening. So if someone is here saying that they need our services, we believe them and we serve them. It is what we are here to do. And it could be anything from someone just showing up because they have no insurance and they need to go to a doctor because they think they might have strep throat or something like that. Or there's a bigger concern and they need labs or they need imaging. We have partners that provide these things, and it is what we do. We don't ask. We just provide. There are some tests that are pretty expensive, and we figure on our end, we have really highly accomplished, really highly well-regarded physicians as our volunteers. That is our main screening. That is our screening, right? If one of our volunteer physicians, care providers, says this person needs such and such labs, and those are expensive labs, we say, you said so, we'll do it.
Wonderful. Okay, well, listen, we'll come back to you and come back to our other lovely guests in just a moment. We're going to take a very short break, but do stay with us.
I looked around at my other colleagues and I realized everybody had an MBA, and that's when I knew if I wanted to go any further in this company, I needed to further my education.
The executive MBA at Cal Lutheran is really a chance to further your education, but in an atmosphere that's conducive to your worlds.
PR, marketing, statistics, metrics, analytics, all those things that I learned in the program, I'm able to apply.
It was just great to have faculty who have the real world experience, but also understand how to impart that knowledge to folks in a classroom. It's an accomplishment that you can share with your existing network to help you kind of advance to the next level.
It actually got me into an interview for a different position.
I got promoted to the director of programming and operations for the whole music department.
You're going to walk back into your job or into a new job and really kind of have a wider view of what the possibilities are. To me, that's the number one thing.
You're made for more. That's why Adventist Health Simi Valley offers robotic-assisted technologies for fast surgical recoveries from expert surgeons. Click to learn more.
Welcome back. You're watching live at 5 in the 8:05. Hello, I'm Caroline Feraday, your host. Welcome along. Thanks for sticking with us. And thank you very much indeed to all of our guests who are here with us. Eric Knight, to Amber Landis, to Monica White, and Dr. Chelsey Kahanowitch. I'm going to have that absolutely nailed by the end of this. I love it. It actually rolls off the tongue really nicely, but it is the first time I've had to say that name. Not going to lie. Amber, let's get to you. Welcome along. Lovely use of bunting as well. I'm very British about some bunting. Very nice to see some bunting in the background.
Yes, my kids love to decorate, so yeah, we did it.
Just need cucumber sandwiches, and I will be having a little tea party. Now, you're at the Humane Society in Ventura County. How's business, I guess, is what I'm asking. How's things with you? What's the demand like?
Good. So, our adoption numbers are up for the year, which is really great. So we're really opening into the year strong. I think we've seen a big increase in cat adoptions, but across the board, we're really thrilled. I know there's been more of an increase for our pet pantry. So we do get out pet food to those that need pet food. They can bring them to the shelter, or there are drop-off locations that we partner with DoorDash, and they'll deliver pet food out to folks. So I think that's a great way or great service that we provide people to help keep pets in homes. So yeah, we're definitely busy. Lots going on.
Is it just hammering home that message? I think that people have heard now of adopt, don't shop. But does it waver? If 1 year is everyone into cats and 1 year everyone into dogs, or how does that happen?
I mean, this is my second year being there, so I don't know all the stats, but I feel like it's pretty steady. I mean, we, with cats and dogs, do adopt out a fair number of animals. We also have horses on the property. Those are typically taking a lot longer to get adopted. And sorry, I have a cat that just hopped up on my lap.
Never apologize for a cat. They are the boss around here.
I have kitten energy in the apartment right now. Oh my goodness. The numbers are definitely up, and we're just, we have this amazing team that's busy out there in the community doing stuff. I know Steven and his team have been out at events, and yeah, we just were at a costume contest on Saturday, judging some pet costumes. So yeah, we've been out and about. So.
I love seeing the Halloween costumes. They're
Yeah.
brilliant for pets. Absolutely brilliant. What are the sort of top 3 needs with the Humane Society of Ventura County right now?
Yeah, so I mean, being a nonprofit organization and not being affiliated with the Humane Society of the United States, we always can use donations. We can also always use pet food donations for our pet food pantry, because like I said, those services have really expanded over the last year. And then volunteers are always needed. We need volunteers either on site, either to help out with events or to foster. So you can foster a cat or dog as a volunteer with us as well.
Yeah, fostering is an interesting way as well of kind of helping, and not making, if you're not able to make the full commitment for life, I guess, but love animals is a really great. What does open adoption process mean? I know that's something that you guys do, but explain to me how that works.
So we just kind of started that this year. We're trying to streamline the adoption process and make it smoother and easier. So there's less paperwork. You basically come into the office, you do fill out an interest form. We pair you with one of our adoption counselors. They help you match with the proper animal, and then most days you can leave with an animal that day. So there's just fewer restrictions and things in place. And then I also just want to mention we have a really great foster to adopt program. I did that with my little Chihuahua that I adopted a little over a year ago. So you can find your animal and basically do a foster to adopt, where you can have the animal for up to 3 weeks, see if they mesh with your family or other animals, and then you can finalize the adoption at another time. So that's been a really popular thing for us. A lot of animals are being fostered to adopt.
Great. I'm sure you've all got an opinion on this. Eric, I'm going to ask you first. What do you find, and what do you think are the sort of biggest challenges, and perhaps some of the biggest advantages for non-profits in Ventura County?
Yeah, thank you. The one that goes top of mind for me, and it might be because my background in nonprofit is in fundraising, but is really, and this is a big challenge, it's not unique to Ventura County, but educating the donors. We're moving out of this era of restricted donations, but we're far from where we need to be. There's still a mindset in some donors or even foundation grants of only funding programs. Programs don't exist without overhead. Programs don't exist without staff. And so, I get these questions where it's sort of like, well, what percentage, how many cents out of my dollar is going to go to your mission? And I say, well, 100%, like 100 cents out of that dollar going to go to the mission. And they say, no, like the program, not the staff or the office or your overhead. So 100%. The program does not happen without the office. It does not happen without the staff. And I've spoken with individuals who represent ultra high net worth individuals who still, and the people are saying, yeah, but the person I'm representing, it really just, they need to know that program number. And so this is across the board. And like I said, it's not unique to Ventura County, but it's something that's very, very important for us to keep in the conversation. And it's tough. It's tough because you're sitting there talking to someone who is, aligned with your mission and wants to give you money. And it's tough to sort of turn that into an education opportunity. So there's that. And then, I think one thing that might be unique or semi-unique to Ventura County, at least to those that I've spoken with in the sector and some other leaders in this region, is finding board members who understand and have experience in board governance. We have right now in Ventura County some really, really amazing, dedicated, smart, brilliant people with tons of board governance experience who are serving and doing great work. And we have people with really, really huge hearts and great intentions who are serving on boards who don't have that experience. And as long as they have the willingness to learn it, that's great too. But we need, just like board members are volunteers, and we really need in this region, we really need leaders in private sector to step up and say, I am going to learn and understand and practice governance. And it starts at a committee level, right? You don't hop right onto a board. Those are a couple of the really big needs that we see that, for me, that are top of mind. I wonder if that opinion is shared with the other leaders here.
I'm sure it's shared or expanded upon or conflicted. Monica, have you got anything to say on this one?
Sure. Eric, you did a great job. you did very well. Those are absolute concerns. Personally here, and maybe not just the nonprofit, but as a nonprofit, what we work very hard on is being able to share about that. People don't believe that there is such a need for food within Ventura County. We're such an affluent, community. There can't possibly be that many people who are hungry, or I don't see it. And so a lot of our work is being able to share the message of what the need is within the community. That's a huge part of our job. And we rely on our board members as well to be ambassadors for that. And all of our volunteers who come in, they in turn need to be ambassadors as well, because we have a staff of 40, but if we can get everybody, all of our 4,400 volunteers to be able to share what it is that they're doing towards that mission, that will go a very long way, save us on marketing dollars to be able to share that message, and in turn, be able to put more of those dollars towards programs and services, which is very important to donors.
So that's something you'd like to join in with, Amber? That one of the sort of biggest challenges for nonprofits is just getting donors to really understand what the need is.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like we kind of struggle with how we are different from other animal shelters. So we get confused on BCAS and things like that. So I think, again, what Monica was saying about the marketing and really getting your message and mission out is so important. It's like this constant need to do that, or remind the public what we're doing and what our mission is. So
what are some of the advantages as well to being in Ventura County? I mean, Eric mentioned there he has some contact with some sort of high net worth individuals. Is that something that's an advantage, that there are people in the county who care and are willing to help?
Well, I have a long list of notes of advantages. It's longer than the challenges, really. Is that we have a really extraordinary, from a nonprofit leadership level, extraordinary resources for outreach and involvement, from the government level to the people who are really invested in, no pun intended, the economic development of the region. Estelle Busa at the county level. We've got Meredith Hart at the city level. Conejo Chamber is incredibly vital for the economic development of the 101 corridor. And these people and organizations that I just mentioned really want to be engaged with nonprofit, really want to make sure that the people of this region know what resources are available to them, but also make sure that the people who can support these organizations do. So that's one of the advantages to nonprofit in this region. And I must mention that the Cal Lutheran Center for Nonprofit Leadership is a gem. Not every county or region or state even has the resources that we do through Cal Lutheran's Center for Nonprofit Leadership. And I recently spoke with John Nunez, the interim president there, about how incredibly important that I think that the CNL is, and he absolutely agreed. We had a long conversation about that. So we have this great advantage here of a lot of resources around us that know how important it is for people to know about our services so they can use them, but also for people to know about us so they can support us.
Well, I mean, we started on a negative there. So, I mean, Monica, maybe, I don't know if you can echo some of that as well, or got your own things to add.
I agree. I mean, Gina Jensen is an absolute gem for Ventura County. But, we also have the Ventura County Community Foundation, and Vanessa Bechtel and her team does wonders to be able to incorporate, and so all of us can collaborate together. I mean, I think what is beautiful and what I don't hear from other food banks in other counties is that we all know each other and we all work very well. We play well together in the same sandbox. And the thing about philanthropy is that people give to up to 5 organizations, that they can have up to 5 that are key to them. And that allows us to be able to cross paths with somebody maybe donating to Conejo Free Clinic, but they're also going to be giving to Food Share. And that, the generosity of our community is astounding to me. And that there are so many people who want to be able to give, that either that's through stock donations, whether that's through their donor advised funds or their charitable remainder trusts. There's so many ways that people can give. And if they can't, what they're doing? They're saying, come pick oranges on my tree in my backyard, or I'm going to come volunteer for 4 hours. No matter what it is that they can help, they want to be able to. And that is the beauty, I think, of Ventura County.
Amber, maybe you want to come in on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. We have a very generous community. And I think also our AFP, Association of Fundraising Professional chapter, that kind of spans Santa Barbara and Ventura. I think that's a great resource for us. And National Philanthropy Day is right around the corner. So that's really exciting that we get to celebrate some of the philanthropists and volunteers in the area. So,
And Giving Tuesday.
Yes.
There's always something. Have any of you found it more of a struggle, when we're obviously 8 days away from the election? Does that have an impact if you're saying, well, they'll give to this many organizations, where people are getting bombarded from various political organizations saying, give us some money, support us with this, that impacts on people's ability or even excitement, I guess, about giving at this time?
I'll jump in. Yes, I mean, philanthropy is a little tempered during uncertainty, right? Mm-hmm. And I think there's no better word than uncertainty at this point for what's going to be happening. Or people have said, no, I'm supporting this this candidate. So we definitely have seen that. So we know that after Thanksgiving, that Giving Tuesday will be a really good way for us to be able to gauge how we're going to end up the year, because most nonprofits that get the majority of our donations at year end, which is incredibly important because it carries us through almost the entire year. So everyone's generosity is incredibly important.
Yeah, for me, this being in healthcare, I've been in a couple of different sectors of nonprofit, but being in healthcare right now reminds me of when I was at the American Cancer Society, where there are a number of donors who hit the pause button because they're waiting to see what the election is going to show. For instance, right now there's a lot of legislation on the, that could go one way or the other as far as how prescription medications are paid for, and that is going to influence where some funders decide to put their money. So some of it is just sort of waiting to see how it's going to play out. I don't know how much of it is changes because of dollars that are diverted to politics rather than social causes. That would be interesting to see. I'm not sure, but yeah, there is a little bit of a sense of pause, that that uncertainty, like you said, Monica.
So that's something you find, Amber, as well in your sector. I mean, you're working with animals. You want to get people to support animals rather than humans, I suppose.
I mean, I think we've heard a little bit about it, and I think definitely we've heard of people at community events talking about how uncertain the world is right now. I mean, I think donation-wise, we've been very lucky to kind of still hit all of our marks, which is great. But yeah, it's kind of be interesting to see what happens in the next week or so.
Yeah, for sure.
I know what's certain, though. Amber, your kitty. So can we just see the kitty one more time?
Yeah, she finally settled down. She was on my lap sleeping. So here she is.
Oh, what's her name? What's her name?
This is Zelda.
Are you saving all of them, Amber?
I want to.
Zelda Landis making her television debut at how many weeks old?
About 9.
Oh, there you go. 9-week-old debut live on the 805. Yay! I'm going to talk in a second. We're going to take a little break in just a second, but I want to talk to Dr. Chelsey a little bit more about some healthcare things. So I want you to stay right with us, because we will be right back after this little short break.
There are over 4,000 students at California Lutheran University,
each with our own unique backgrounds, upbringings, and beliefs.
We don't look the same
or think the same,
but we do share one thing in common. We're open to learning about the world,
open to exploring new ideas,
and open to discovering our purpose.
Because when you're open,
the world is open to you.
Welcome back. You're watching Live at 5. in the 805. Hello, my name's Caroline Feraday. Thank you very much for joining us. We are here chatting with Eric Knight and Amber Landis and Monica White and Dr. Chelsey Kahanowitch.
You're doing
That's a very wonderfully Halloweeny Hawaiian last name.
Oh, I incorporated it into taking my Halloween candy. I call it the Kahanowitch candy switch, and I give them a toy and I take all their candy away. So
that's great. Yeah. Just are you that? Are you the doctor mum who's like, I'm sorry, son, you can't have all this sugar. It's not good for you.
Yeah, I'm like, is it Friday or Saturday? Sorry, you can't have any sugar today. It's
here for mom. Listen, we've been talking about sort of some of the challenges we come up against. I know you said at the start, you were off at your own doctor's appointment. It got me thinking, we're coming now into Movember, as a few men do, where we sort of focus a bit more on prostate health, on cancer prevention, on health screening for men. Like, are men still sort of deserving of this reputation, or have they outgrown it that they tend to avoid going to the doctor?
Oh, no, they haven't outgrown it. Absolutely not. I mean, getting men in for just an annual wellness physical exam is, they probably prefer to be at the dentist. I was going to say it's like pulling teeth, but yeah, they come in what they think we're going to do to them. But yeah, it's definitely a challenge getting a lot of our male patients to come in for just a once a year check-in, see how they're doing, see if they're even screening for the things they're supposed to be screening for at their age based on family history risks, things like that. It's still a struggle. But I utilize my female patients who tend to be their partners and be like, hey, I'm not that scary. Why don't you have him come in? Try to get them up to date on all their screening stuff too. So
what is it, do you think? What is that reluctance? Is it apathy or embarrassment or machismo, or like, what is it?
I think a little bit is embarrassment. Some of them maybe a little bit of machismo, but not as common nowadays. There's a little bit more sensitivity in that area. But I think it's just also just to like, well, I don't need anything. I don't have any problems. Nothing hurts me. I'm not sick. I don't get sick. I don't have this, that, or the other thing. So why would I see a doctor? So preventative health is definitely not at the forefront, of their minds. And so they don't realize a lot of times until they have a friend. Usually it's like, oh yeah, my buddy at work just got diagnosed with prostate. So I'm here. Do whatever you need to do. And I'm like, man, I wish I would have seen you 7 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times that's what spurs them coming in, which is very unfortunate. Or my dad just had a heart attack, found out my uncle had a heart attack at 40. I'm 47. What should I be doing? I've never done fasting labs. And so, it breaks my heart that that's what happens a lot of times. They come in because there's been an event with somebody in their life that is suffering something. Would have been very preventable if it had been screened earlier.
But it's still almost like a motivation of fear. So they come in with a motivation of fear of having something, or they're motivated not to come because, I don't know, they're frightened of being in a vulnerable situation, I guess.
Yeah, very, very true.
Sometimes they actually think, I might have something wrong with me, but I don't want to, if I don't know about it, it doesn't exist.
That is common. Common in some of like my older population who are raised like on the farm, and they just took care of everything, and this is how it always was, and you don't go to the doctor because then they find stuff wrong with you. But yeah, my male patients, that definitely happens with them too, because they don't want to know. Deep down, they're terrified that there is something wrong, and it's just better if they don't know about it, because then they face it and address it. So
Eric, you're nodding as if that's something that perhaps you've come up against in your work.
Yeah, there are a number of barriers for people to get in, and I'm thinking specifically about mammograms because we have a cancer prevention committee that was just formed this year, and the outreach is in its first phase in its first year, and we're really also getting into conversations with people who have seen what we're putting out there and have still not come in, even though they qualify as someone who should be coming in. And there's social determinants of health, but there's also, we have literally heard from women that they are either afraid of what they might find out, or if they find out there's something wrong, they feel like there's nothing they can do about it anyway. Which
and
is
presumably, I mean, perhaps not so much with your organization, but fear of the cost.
Right. I mean, it's sort of like fear of, if something is found, what am I going to do about it anyway? Because yes, my appointment with you is free, but then my future is going to be filled with all these impossible costs that I can't possibly, couldn't possibly meet. And, from there, we get into other discussions about what resources might be available at the county level and how we, sort of get that going, et cetera. But that is one of the barriers. One of the barriers is I don't want to know if something's wrong.
Yeah. Well, I just want to talk a little bit more about Movember, because Movember is when you get your Mo. I'm going to grow mine. There it is. And sort of focus on prostate health. I mean, there is more to it than just the fun of being like, here's how I look with a mustache. Like, actually, what's the serious side of what we're reminding people? Probably a question for you, Dr. Chelsey, maybe.
I mean, mostly asking questions about certain signs and symptoms they may be experiencing, asking about family history. A lot of times there is a prominent family history and they need to be screened, whether it's a blood test, whether it's a physical test, whether it's seeing a urologist. I mean, these things all need to be considered. There are very classic red flag signs that I will ask these men about and be like, hey, any chance you're experiencing X, Y, or Z? And they'll be like, yeah, like, how would you know that? And I'm like, well, you said your dad had prostate cancer at 55, your uncle was 57. Like, they probably had prostate cancer before they started being symptomatic, but nobody ever asked them, are you feeling pelvic heaviness? Are you not urinating the best stream? Other things that may be going on in their marriage that are affecting them mentally and they don't want to admit to it. That's a big one too, that they just don't want that masculine part of them to be questioned. So they just don't bring it up as a problem. They just buy Viagra online and they go about their day. So, and then the other one is cardiovascular risk. They've never had fasting labs before. They don't know that their cholesterol panel is not great. And they are at risk for having a cardiovascular event and things of that nature. They don't know what their body mass index is. They don't know that stuff. And so having someone that they've established a relationship with to tell them, hey, this is important. You have friends and family around you. We can catch this stuff early or prevent it altogether in some cases. And so that's a big push for November, just as a reminder for people. So.
It strikes me how much of your job is not just about sort of having this wide-ranging medical knowledge, but really about building trust with the people in your care so that they will trust you with really telling you the truth about what's going on for them.
Yeah, it's very important. It's, patients will want to do just like, oh, I just want to do a visit to see if we click. And I'm like, that's fine. That's fine. If I don't see you again, I'll understand. But it's very important for them to come in the door, and every doctor, practices differently. Every doctor has a different way about them. And that is some of the beauty of some people who have certain insurances. They can make a selection in that world. Not everyone has that ability with their insurances. And so I feel like it's our job as physicians, like, you have to meet patients where they're at. You have to build that accountability and that trust. And yeah, it's something that,
come from a place of no judgment and just say, I just want to know, like, I don't mind what's going on with your body.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes they'll confide stuff in you and just expect a judgmental stare. And you're like, that's okay. Thank you for telling me. And now how are we going to address this? Because this could affect you negatively in the future. And that's just the way that we need to operate to keep people coming in. So.
And then we were just chatting, weren't we, about the election. And I guess then we're into the holidays. Those things might be a bit stressful. You never know. So I guess I was wondering if you'd give us all a bit of advice about how are we going to manage this stress, perhaps the anxiety, particularly of the next 8 days or more, and the stress of that, because stress has such a negative impact on our bodies, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Having stress levels, elevating certain hormones can help chronic diseases grow and find their way. no matter which way my patients lean, I always tell them, please turn off the news. Like, it's divisive. It's trying to make you hate your neighbor, hate your friend, hate your family. It's really, I understand some of these outlets are trying to do good, but as you guys have seen, the majority of a lot of these newscasters, they want viewers. And I have told these patients, look, if it really bothers you that much, just, you need to turn it off, no matter what news outlet it is. And that's been a big one. I've had to tell a lot of my patients, just because they'll come in and, I'm a mom of 3 kids. I'm watching Bluey and cartoons. I honestly don't know all the things that are going on in the news right now. And it's like, I tell them, this is something you just really have to be aware of. It's negatively affecting you. And that's something I've had to tell quite a few of my patients, recently.
Obviously, this is a good time for me to say you could try public radio news.
Yeah.
Bit less divisive. But yeah, no, I hear you. Sometimes people say to me, and I work in news, did you see this? And I'm like, I got a 6-year-old. I see. And if it didn't happen in SpongeBob, it didn't happen. To be honest with you. And now look, let's talk a little bit about you, because I think before you were a doctor, you taught high school, which sounds a lot more stressful than life or death as a doctor. So, I mean, was that a sort of destiny decision? Was that sort of, was that always your professional passion, and then you got to it?
Yeah, I had interest peaked in medicine. I was a sports medicine major. I was an athletic trainer. I traveled with the sports teams in college. I was always an athlete. So I did that aspect of it, and I loved it. And then I was like, oh, cool, I'll be an athletic trainer and a high school teacher, because athletic training, anybody out there watching knows, unfortunately, it's not a very high paying job for the hours they require of you. And it can be very hard. And so I was like, oh, I'll teach high school and I'll be a sports medicine guru, and that'll satisfy my desire to go to medicine. And I'll be fine. And then, unfortunately, I was in a really, really bad accident. I was chaperoning one of the high school students.
I think we've lost you for an exciting siren.
No, it's great background.
That, Dr. Chelsey, sorry.
Okay. And so after that kind of life-altering event, I was like, you know what? I always told myself, oh, I'm not smart enough. Oh, life's too short. Oh, medical school's so long. All the things we tell ourselves when something is presented in our lives that's a big reach for us. And sometimes we talk ourselves out of it. Laying in a hospital bed, being in a trauma center for a week, I was like, you know what? If I come out of this, I'm going to just give it a try. I'm going to take my prereqs and I'm going to apply. And, hard work, a really supportive staff at Aurora High School, my amazing high school students, which one of them knew this was going to be on. He sent me a screenshot. He's like, hey, you're going to be on this thing. I don't know what he does for work, but Tim, if you're watching, hi.
Hi, Tim.
So I was like, I'll give myself 2 years to apply. And I applied. Now, granted, my story was pretty sensational about how I wanted to become a physician. And I really think that played a role in why I got so many acceptances for medical school. So yeah, I said goodbye to my kiddos. I loved my high school kids. Hilarious. I love teenagers, by the way. If any of you are out there looking for a doctor for your teenager, I think they're so funny. But yeah, and then I went off into medical school, and it was a crazy journey, and I had kids and I got married and I did all the things. But it was a calling and a passion on my life, and I pursued it. So it really helped me because I have a master's degree in education. That's what you do as a doctor. That is what doctors do. We educate. Yes, we have training in treatment. Yes, we have training in other things, but really it comes down to having a conversation, not being afraid to do this, talk to a patient, and then educate them on the why, the pros, the cons, and then just develop that relationship and keep it going and help them along their health journey. So,
wow. Yeah, wonderful. That's really inspirational. I was just about to throw to Monica, because I know Monica also came from the private sector to then lead the largest food bank region. So Monica, I mean, no pressure on that story being the one you've got to follow in why you chose your occupation. But I mean, you've got to at least died and come back now.
So I used to work at the local newspaper for about 15 years, and I was in community relations and public relations, but I was on the board for Food Share. And at the time when I was part of an X number of layoffs, I was so fortunate, I say, to be able to lose my job, and that I was available to be able to step in as the interim CEO. And it was such a relief to know that this is where I belong. And this is where I could take my for-profit experience and my marketing skills and be able to run an organization that is doing really, really something good for the community. So it feels good. My mom would be proud, and it's an honor to lead such an incredible organization.
Well, that's absolutely wonderful. Well, time's flown, hasn't it? Goodness me. Thank you very much indeed to my guests, to Eric Knight, to Amber Landis, to Monica White, to Dr. Chelsey Kahanowitch. Enjoying it so much now that I don't want you to leave. And that is a wrap. Goodness me. The next time we meet, who knows how the world will look. But be sure to stay tuned to live in the 805.com to find out what's new. And also, make sure you register. There's an info dine coming up with the newly electeds, taking place January the 22nd at Vala Vanda in the Santa Rosa Valley. For now, thank you very much indeed for watching, and have a very good evening.